Moab sits under a nefarious sun, dust swirling around like whispers of the past. No one can doubt that the Winscott family carried their shadows long into the twilight. Clara Winscott stood on the cracked wooden porch of the old family home, her heart heavy with loss and an unsettling burden that pressed upon her shoulders. She had come here to mourn her father, but left with threads of dread woven into her very being. The house creaked with a voice all its own, each sound a reminder of the secrets trapped within its walls. Clara stood silent, listening to the uncanny rustle above, a sound she couldn't quite place. A rat? A ghost? She couldn't tell. The locals spoke in hushed tones about her family, words slipping past cracked lips like cheap liquor, inventing stories of madness, betrayal, even murder. On her first evening alone, Clara dug through her father's old papers. Scattered blueprints lay sprawled across a dust-covered table in his study, the dappled light from the setting sun illuminating familiar rooms, until she spotted the dining room. And there it was, a wall that shouldn't be there. Her heart quickened, not just from fear but intrigue. There had always been an odd stillness in that part of the house, as if it held its breath when company arrived. Clara leaned in closer to the blueprints, the soft scratch of pencil under her fingers, stinging against the static tension in the air. Later that night, as shadows grew long, the noises delighted and disturbed her in equal measure. Something large, pacing overhead, deliberate intimacy in the thump that echoed through the silence. She had avoided the attic since stepping into her family's legacy, filled with foreboding tales of forgotten remnants. Yet her curiosity gnawed at her, fierce as a hungry wolf. She could not resist it any longer. With a shiver of panic coursing through her, Clara grasped the old latch with trembling hands. It groaned and resisted like a stubborn mule, but with a surge of desperation, she forced it open. Dust exploded in her face, as if the room had taken a breath after years of silence. Clara's heart raced as she took tentative steps inside. There, hidden beneath the cobwebs, lay a small compartment sealed by time. Her fingers shook as she peeled it open, revealing brittle old letters and photographs, faces obscured by age, yet filled with an unmistakable dread. The faded ink whispered their names, forgotten branches of her family tree that had crumbled into nothingness. As she slipped a letter from its resting place, a chill clawed at her spine. The words were a twisted confession, hinting at acts that should never see the light of day. She felt the room constrict around her, the air thick with unspoken truths. Clara understood now. These were not just relatives, but remnants of a past evading justice, something dark that wanted to resurface. She stumbled back as a gust of wind swept through the attic, chilling her bones. The door slammed shut as if it were alive, leaving her trapped with her morbid discoveries. The quiet outside now felt mocking, and Clara realized that sometimes the past isn't buried. It waits, whispering, "Remember me." Clara felt the weight of the door against her back, and in that moment the attic turned into a cage. The wind howled through the tiny window, an angry beast demanding to be released. She turned and pressed against the door, her breath quick and shallow. "No!" she shouted. "Let me out!" The door stood firm. Clara stepped back and looked around. Dust motes danced in the waning light. The old letters lay scattered at her feet, pages curling at the edges. The attic felt alive, each creak of the wood a heartbeat, each whisper of the wind a warning. "Get out!" a voice suddenly roared from behind. Clara jumped, spinning around. A figure stood at the shadows, broad-shouldered and looming. It was Charlie, her younger brother. "Charlie!" she gasped. "What are you doing here? I came to find you. Did you forget about Mom and Dad's funeral tomorrow?" His face was pale against the muted backdrop of the attic. Clara, what's wrong?" He stepped closer, eyes searching. "You look like you've seen a ghost." "No, listen, there's something in these letters. It's bad." He frowned. "Bad? Like what?" She grabbed one of the letters, her fingers trembling. "They talk about our family, about things they did." She held it out to him, but he stepped back. "Stop, I don't want to hear it." He crossed his arms, irritation boiling beneath the surface. "You've been up here for hours. Charlie, please, you don't understand." She took a deep breath, trying to steady her racing heart. It's more than just old stories. He rolled his eyes. Like they're gonna bring Dad back? Just drop it. Mom's downstairs, worried sick. I can't. Not yet. She looked past him, the shadows moving like living things. I have to know what happened. Clara, his tone hardened. You're digging into this family's dirt. You're not gonna like what you find. Maybe I need to know. We both do. Just let it go. Come on. He moved toward the door, but Clara took a step forward, blocking his path. No, you can't just walk away. She grabbed his arm. What if there's a reason for all this? Something more? He shot her a harsh look. What if it's just a bunch of lies? You've built up stories in your head, Clara. They ruined us. Look at us. Look at you. She snapped back. Just wandering through life while I dig up the past. You don't care what they did. Stop. His voice cracked. You think this will help? You think digging into a graveyard will bring anyone back? Clara opened her mouth to respond when a loud bang echoed through the attic. The wind had slammed the window shut. What was that? Charlie stared at the window, wide-eyed. I don't know. Maybe it's just the wind. Clara felt the hairs on her neck rise. No, that wasn't normal. He stepped back, mouth pressed into a thin line. We should get out of here. Wait, there's something else. Clara grabbed his hand, pulling him toward the letters scattered on the floor. Look at this one. It's about Uncle Ray. It talks about a sacrifice. Stop, he yelled, pulling away. I don't care. I don't want to read more lies. Clara stumbled, her heart pounding. Shadows flickered in the corners of her vision. Charlie, listen. If we don't understand our family's history, we're doomed to repeat it. You sound just like Dad. He snarled, shaking his head. That didn't work out too well, did it? The air thickened, the wind howled louder, and the attic trembled. Clara saw movement in the corner, a shape forming in the shadows. Do you see that? She whispered, pointing. What? Charlie stepped back, fear etched across his face. Over there! Please, tell me you see it! But before he could speak, the shadows shifted, coalescing into something more tangible. A figure stepped into the light, a woman with hollow eyes and a pained expression. Clara, the woman rasped, her voice scraping against the air like nails on a chalkboard. Clara's blood turned cold. Who are you? Clara! Charlie shouted, panic edging his voice. Let's go now. No, I need to know, Clara shouted back, but her resolve cracked as the ghostly figure moved closer, a whisper of a memory trailing behind her. Remember me, the woman said, her voice a haunting echo. You must remember. Before Clara could respond, the attic floor creaked under Charlie's sudden movement. No! Get away! He lunged toward the door, yanking it open. The figure jerked violently towards him, her hollow eyes widening. It wasn't supposed to end like this. Charlie paled, stumbling back. Clara, please, shut the door, Clara screamed. But it was too late. The figure lunged, and a force slammed into Charlie, sending him crashing to the floor. No! Clara rushed to him, but he had fallen unconscious, sprawled against the threshold. Clara! The figure croaked. You have to choose. Choose what? She yelled, panic spiraling as she pulled Charlie further from the door. Choose to remember the family name! The woman's voice echoed, layered with anguish. Clara felt her heart race as she looked between Charlie and the shadowy figure. The letters lay forgotten on the floor, their secrets swirling in the air around them. Clara, he moaned, eyes fluttering open, terror plastered across his face. What's happening? This isn't over! The figure screamed, her voice a low, ominous chant. You have to choose. What choice? Clara cried out, desperation clawing at her throat. With that, the wind roared back to life, shaking the attic. The walls groaned, and Clara could feel the past pressing against her, refusing to be ignored. As the room plunged into darkness, Clara's eyes locked onto the figures. What do you want from us? All went silent. The last thing Clara heard was her own heartbeat, echoing in her ears, drowning out everything else. Clara felt the silence crash down around her, heavier than the ghost's words. Charlie blinked hard. His gaze darted to the shadowy figure, then back to Clara. What just happened? I don't know, Clara shouted. That woman, she... Clara! Charlie's voice was sharp, fear mixed with anger. We have to get out of here. No! Clara looked at the woman. "I need to know. Who are you?" The figure shifted, a flicker of recognition in its hollow eyes. "I was forgotten, like all the rest." Charlie shook his head. "Not this again. Let's just go." "Charlie!" Clara grabbed his arm. "Please, we can't turn our backs on this." The wind howled again, shaking the attic. The shadows stretched and warped. Clara felt the chill seep into her bones. "Clara, I swear to—" "Shut it!" she yelled. "Just let me talk." The figure advanced, a fragment of the past stepping closer. "You cannot ignore what was done." "Damn it, stop!" Charlie yelled. He pulled Clara back. "You don't know what you're messing with." The air crackled. Clara squared her shoulders. "I know enough. We can't let this go." "Look at you!" His breath was quick and sharp. "You're obsessed." "Stop!" Clara shouted. "Just stop talking. I want to hear her." "What's to hear? Lies? Ghost stories?" "Charlie!" Clara's voice cracked. "We're running out of time." The figure faded in and out, hovering in a storm of emotions. "You must remember our legacy. It holds power." "Legacy?" Charlie's brow furrowed. "You call this a legacy?" "Yes, your blood runs through me." The figure reached out, fingers stretching toward Clara. Clara stepped back. "What do you mean?" "You must make a choice," the figure rasped. "It is your turn to face what was." Charlie's eyes widened. "What do you mean, face what was?" "This is madness," Clara shouted. "I don't want to face anything without knowing." The figure loomed larger, its voice more forceful. "You'll choose, Clara, or the past will consume you. Get away from her!" Charlie shouted, shielding Clara. "Charlie, don't!" Clara cried. "We can find out what she means." "No, we can't." He turned to Clara, desperation painted on his face. "This is dangerous." The wind picked up again, shrieking through the narrow space. Dust swirled like phantom memories. Shadows danced along the walls. "Clara," Charlie said, shaking, "this isn't worth it." "Yes, it is," she replied fiercely. "We can't let them win." The figure moved closer, a swirl of regret and sorrow. "Choose, daughter of the Winscotts." "Daughter?" Clara hissed. "What do you know about me? About my family?" The figure hesitated, then spoke. "They buried the truth in blood, secrets of sacrifice, choices made in darkness." Clara's stomach turned. "Sacrifice? What kind?" "Something long forgotten. You'll find out if you're strong enough." "No," Charlie said, his voice breaking. "Don't listen." "Why shouldn't I?" Clara shot back. "Why shouldn't we?" A sudden crash boomed against the attic. Both siblings jumped, hearts racing. Clara spun around. The window had shattered, shards scattering on the floor, glinting eerily in the fading light. "Get out, now!" Charlie shouted, taking Clara by the arm. He backed away from the figure. "No!" Clara cried. "Look!" The figure stood still, but a whirlwind of shadows began to swirl around it. A thunderous roar filled the attic, an angry storm building. "Make the choice!" the figure screamed, its voice swallowed by the chaos. "Or face the wrath of the past." "No!" Clara yelled, but the wind was louder, drowning them out. It felt like a monster taking form, roaring in fury. "Clara, please!" Charlie begged. "Run!" The room shook. Clara felt herself torn between the figure and the doorway. The past threatened to swallow them whole. Shadows flashed across her vision, overwhelming. "Choose!" the figure howled. "Remember me, you cannot escape." "Run!" Charlie pulled at Clara, urgency in his grip. "We have to get out now." "I can't!" Clara shouted, rooted to the spot. "Clara!" His voice broke. A blinding light burst from the figure, illuminating their faces in eerie clarity. "Your choice!" Charlie shielded his eyes. "No!" The light flickered, almost alive. It engulfed the figure, pulling it back into the darkness. Clara's heart raced. "Clara, we need to go!" Charlie shouted. In that moment, Clara made a decision. "No, wait!" She stepped forward, reaching out. "I'll remember." Charlie's eyes went wide. "What are you doing?" "Let me—" The light surged, bright and consuming. It swept Clara inside, pulling her into a maelstrom of memories. "Clara!" Charlie screamed, but she was gone. The attic dissolved around her, swallowed by the tempest of her family's legacy. Sudden stillness. Clara found herself in a void. Images flashed all around her, faces, moments, blood. Patterns of the past unfolded, revealing shadows hidden for too long. "Clara!" Charlie's voice echoed faintly. Then the darkness shifted. Clara felt it close around her. It tightened and squeezed. "No!" she whispered, fear gripping her. Another voice, familiar but twisted, pulled her deeper. "You chose, Clara. Welcome to the truth." A shriek tore through the space. A haunting cry rang out. "Charlie!" "No!" Clara screamed as the void ripped open again, and she felt herself being pulled back. The attic was behind her, the figure still present, shadows alive once more. "Clara!" Charlie's voice trembling near panic. "What just happened?" She staggered back, gasping. I don't know." The figure stood by the door, its hollow eyes gleaming with dark knowledge. "The choice has been set in motion." "What choice?" Clara shot back, filled with dread. "You will find it," the figure snarled, shadows swirling around it. "But remember, every choice comes with a price." In that moment, another crash thundered from behind. Clara turned, but it was too late. The walls of the attic shuddered violently. "Clara, what's happening?" Charlie shouted, grabbing her just as the house began to collapse. "Run!" Clara screamed, but the darkness closed in around them. The roof gave way, stretching toward the sky, shadows lunging like creatures searching for blood, and then darkness. The world around them blurred. Clara's last vision was of Charlie's terrified face, just as everything turned black. Clara stumbled through the dark. Everything felt heavy and cold. She reached out but found nothing but emptiness. "Charlie?" she called out. Her voice echoed, stretched thin. No answer. "Charlie!" Panic sharpened her words. "Where are you?" A sudden light burst in front of her. Clara squinted. The outline of her brother appeared. "Clara! Thank God!" She rushed toward him. "What happened?" "I don't know." Charlie shook his head. "1 minute we were in the attic and then—" He faltered. "It felt like the world just cracked." Clara glanced around. They stood in a vast, shadowy space, walls shifting like living things. "What is this place?" "I don't know. It's like the attic, but different." He looked over his shoulder. That thing is still here, isn't it?" "Yeah." Clara turned in a circle, searching for the figure. The shadows danced but revealed nothing. "We need to find a way out." "Right." He took a deep breath. The ground shook beneath them. Dust fell from nowhere, swirling in the air. "Clara!" Charlie shouted, terror rising in his voice. "What's happening?" Clara grabbed his arm. "I don't know. Just hold on." A crack split the ground. Clara jumped back. "This way." She pulled him towards a faint glow in the distance. As they ran, whispers filled their ears. Clara's heart pounded. "Did you hear that?" "Yes," Charlie snapped. "What is it? What are they saying?" I can't make it out." The glow grew brighter, pulling them in. They reached a small opening, a doorway shaped by light. "Come on!" Clara pushed through. They stumbled into a room. It was different, decorated with old photographs on the walls. "Where are we?" Charlie looked around. "Is this a house too?" "I don't know." Clara stepped closer to a photograph. "Look at this." Charlie joined her side. The image showed a woman with familiar features, a face they both recognized. "It's Mom," he breathed. "No, it's not just her." Clara pointed. "That's our grandma." The realization hit them. "What?" Charlie stepped back, shaking his head. "How? Why is she here?" "I don't know." Clara felt heat rising in her cheeks. "It just doesn't make sense." They moved deeper into the room. More photos filled the walls, and each one told a different story. Clara noticed the expressions on their faces: fear, anguish, regret. "I don't like this. Let's keep going." Charlie turned, leading the way. "Maybe there's a clue to how to get out." Clara followed, unable to shake the feeling of being watched. The air grew thick and suffocating. With each step, shadows drifted closer. "Can you feel that?" Clara asked, her voice trembling. "Yeah." Charlie clenched his fists. "It's like something's here with us." "Don't say that!" She froze. "What if it's the woman, the one from the attic?" "Shut up," he hissed. "We don't want to—" A piercing scream erupted behind them. Clara spun around. The light flickered, casting crazy shadows across the walls. Inside the doorway, the figure appeared, its eyes wide and sorrowful. "Stay away!" Charlie shouted, stepping protectively in front of Clara. But the figure didn't approach. It just stood there, trembling. "Let her go!" Clara screamed. "Leave us alone!" The figure raised a hand, but instead of reaching out, it pointed to a dark corner of the room. "You must choose," it whispered, the voice raspy and chilling. "Choose what?" Clara spat out, heart racing. "What do you want from us?" The shadows thickened, swirling around. The figure took a step forward, its form flickering like an old film. "The choice. Your legacy." "No!" Charlie shouted. "We're done with this! We need to go!" The door behind them slammed shut with a deafening crash. "What the hell?" Clara screamed, reaching for the handle. "It won't budge!" Terror gripped her. The walls bared down, shadows inching closer. Clara spun back to the figure. "What do you want us to do?" "Face the truth," the figure moaned. "Remember." "No, I can't!" Clara backed away, colliding with Charlie. She felt his breath on her neck, his panic mixing with hers. "Get out of my way!" Charlie shouted at the figure. "You don't control us!" The figure lunged, and a powerful gust of wind filled the room. Clara clung to Charlie's arm as the air howled around them. The walls shook violently. "Clara!" Charlie yelled. "Now! We have to move!" Just then, the figure spoke again. "It was your father." "Dad," Clara whispered. Her mind spun. "What do you mean?" "He made a choice." The figure's eyes pulsed with energy. "A terrible choice." "What choice?" Charlie cried, desperation lacing his tone. "What did Dad do?" "Enough!" Clara's voice broke. "Just tell us." "For the family," the figure rasped. "To save the name." Clara's stomach knotted. She felt the past clawing at her. "What did he—" The room shuddered again. The photos on the walls began to shift, faces warping into expressions of horror. "I refuse to believe this," Charlie shouted. "You're lying. This is all a trick." "No tricks," the figure insisted. "The truth is buried in blood, but you will find it." The shadows lunged again, whipping through the room. Clara screamed as the darkness closed in. Charlie grabbed her hand tightly. "We can't be stuck here. Make it stop," Clara shouted at the figure. "Let us out. You have to tell us more." The figure's expression crumpled into sorrow. "I cannot. The choice is yours now." "Stop! This isn't fair!" Clara fought against the terror enveloping them. She felt the shadows wrap around her, pulling her into the darkness. In an instant, a blinding light filled the room once more. The figure screamed, disintegrating into a storm of shadows. "No!" Clara shouted, but she felt the ground drop beneath her feet. She gasped, falling into bright nothingness. Then silence. Along with the echoes of the figure's warning, they were gone. Clara and Charlie found themselves back in the attic. The wind whistled through the shards of the shattered window. "Are we—" Charlie breathed, looking stunned. "Is this real?" "Yes." Clara looked around. "But what about—" They turned back. The figure was gone. The only sound was the wind, but something else, too. A low, sinister hum. A realization settled in Clara. "We still need to find out what he did." Charlie narrowed his eyes. "No." "Yes." She stepped forward, voice steady. "We have to finish this." "Clara, they're counting on us." She looked around the room, determination washing over her. "We can't let the past win." As she spoke, a shape flickered in the corner of her vision, a shadow that twisted and trembled. The ground beneath them shuddered. "What now?" Charlie's voice was high-pitched, trembling. "Watch out!" Clara gasped. Everything around them trembled violently. She grabbed Charlie's hand as the room shifted, warping into chaos. They gasped as dark shapes slithered across the floor, closing in on them. The whispers rose again, growing louder. "Clara, what do we do?" Charlie yelled, holding tight. "I don't know," she cried. The darkness swarmed around them, and the shadows reached out, desperate for more. And with it came laughter, a frightening, twisted sound. "Clara!" Charlie grabbed her, but it was too late. The shadows crashed over them, engulfing everything, then nothing but darkness, echoing with terrible laughter. Clara gasped as the darkness faded. Her senses returned, but the chaos of the attic pressed against her like a weight. Charlie stood beside her, eyes wide, face pale. "What just happened?" he stuttered. "Are we back?" Clara looked around. The attic was still in shambles, but it felt eerily quiet. "I think so. Did we escape?" "Where's the woman?" Charlie's voice trembled. "The one from before." "I don't know." She scanned the room, heart racing. "I don't see her." The air felt thick. Shadows crept along the walls, whispering in low murmurs. Clara placed a hand against the wall for support, feeling the old wood crack beneath her fingers. "Clara, we need to go," Charlie urged, glancing nervously at the window, still shattered. "If that thing comes back, we can't leave without knowing the truth," Clara insisted, her voice shaking. "I don't care about the truth anymore," Charlie shouted, his frustration spilling over. "I just want to get out of here." Silence hung heavy in the air. Then a low growl echoed from the corner of the room. Both of them froze. "What was that?" Charlie whispered. She shook her head, eyes wide. "I don't know, but it's not over." The shadows twisted, forming darker shapes on the floor. A shape slowly emerged from the darkness, a shadowy figure merging back into view. "Clara." The whisper was soft yet sharp, slicing through the tension. "Not again!" Charlie shouted. "Wait!" Clara held him back. "What do you want?" "Remember?" The figure slithered closer, tendrils reaching toward them. "You must face what you buried." "Stop!" Charlie cried, taking a step back. "We already did." "No!" Clara snapped. "We didn't even scratch the surface." "Clara!" Charlie's face twisted, fear morphing into anger. "This is insane!" "Insane or not, I can't turn away." She stepped toward the shadows, heart pounding. "Don't go!" Charlie reached for her, but Clara held her ground. "Whatever's in there, just remember." The figure spoke louder now, its voice echoing, distorting. "Face your family's legacy." Clara squinted at the figure. "What legacy?" The figure hesitated, eyes flashing with a strange light. Then it took another step closer. "You must choose to remember." "Remember what?" Clara yelled, frustration boiling over. "Stop playing games." With a sudden surge, the shadows erupted, consuming the attic in darkness. Clara screamed, but her voice was swallowed by the roar of lost memories. "Fight it!" Charlie shouted, grabbing her arm. "We can't let it take us." The air crackled with energy. The atmosphere thickened, almost suffocating. Clara turned her head, searching blindly for an escape. "No!" she yelled. "We have to know." "Clara, stop!" Charlie's grip tightened. "We're not here to dig up bones." "Then what are we here for?" she shouted back. "To keep running from the past." In that moment the shadows trembled, and the figure spoke one last time. "Your father's choice haunts you. It is your fate." Clara's breath caught in her throat. "What do you mean?" But the figure began to fade, dissolving into wisps of darkness. Clara felt panic rise in her chest. "No! Stay!" "Clara!" Charlie pulled her back, eyes darting around. "It's too late!" "No, I won't let this happen!" She stepped closer, reaching into the darkness. "I need to know." Suddenly, the floor beneath them cracked. A deafening rumble shook the attic. Dust poured down from the ceiling like rain. Clara staggered, gripping the edge of a rickety table. "We have to go!" Charlie yelled, panic surging in his voice. "Now!" "No! Wait!" But it was too late. The floor gave way, collapsing beneath them. "No!" Clara screamed as they fell into the unknown. They tumbled through a blur of sound and light until they hit the ground hard. Clara gasped for air, trying to collect herself. Charlie groaned beside her. "Clara!" His voice was weak. "Where are we?" "Don't know." She looked around, squinting through the haze of dust. They were in a different room, wide and dark. Thunder echoed outside. A storm was brewing. Clara pushed herself up, shaking off the debris. "We have to keep moving." "Yeah, but where?" Charlie winced, examining his arm. "We could just end up back in that attic." "No, not this time." Clara held out her hand. "We need to find another way." They moved cautiously through the room, examining walls covered in faded family portraits. Illustrations of the Winscott family sprawled across the surface, their eyes following Clara and Charlie with unsettling intensity. "Look," Clara said, pointing to a photograph in the center. "This must be Dad." Charlie frowned. "Yeah, and who's that with him?" Clara squinted. A woman, face shrouded, stood beside their father. She wore an expression that twisted in too many ways. "I don't know. They look close." He shifted uncomfortably. "Closer than we knew. What if—" A sudden crash split the air. Clara and Charlie jumped, heart rates soaring. A window shattered, shards flying. "Get back!" Clara shouted, putting herself between Charlie and the danger. Through the chaos, a figure staggered into view, hunched and wild. Clara's breath hitched. "Mom! Clara!" She sprang forward, arms outstretched. "Charlie! Mom!" he stammered, eyes wide. "What happened to you?" "Listen to me!" She gripped Clara's arms. "I've been searching for you both." "Searching?" Clara felt confusion crash over her. "For what?" But before their mother could answer, the shadows slinked forward, closing in around them once more. "Stay back!" Clara yelled, tightening her grip on her mother. "Tell us the truth." "Clara," her mother whispered, fear flashing in her eyes. "The family's buried secrets. They're darker than we realized. Your father—" "What about Dad?" Charlie shouted, stepping closer again, anxiety swirling. "I thought—" Their mother faltered, and Clara felt the weight of impending danger. "I thought he would protect us." The shadows hissed, circling them like a predator. Clara could feel the cold air wrap around her, tightening. "No!" she screamed, instinctively stepping in front of her mother. "You can't take her! It's not over!" Her mother's face twisted in anguish. "You need to know before it consumes you. You must choose your path." The room vibrated with uncertainty. Clara's heart raced. What choice? Then the shadows surged, flickering. Suddenly, a dark figure lunged forward, rushing toward them. "Mom!" Clara reached out, but the shadows engulfed her mother in a swirl of darkness. A swirling scream pierced the air. "No!" Charlie shouted, lunging forward, but it was too late. The figure and their mother vanished, absorbed by the very darkness they sought to escape. "Mom!" Clara cried, despair flooding her heart. "Clara, we have to move. We can't stay here." Charlie's voice snapped her back to reality. "No, we can't leave her." Clara turned, gazing into the dark void where their mother had been. "We have to find her." But the shadows were relentless, closing in. With raw desperation, Clara grabbed Charlie's hand and pulled him towards the doorway. "No!" Charlie yelled, forcing her to stop. "You need to choose. You can't save her." "Shut up!" Clara shouted back, tears streaming down her face. "We can't leave her behind." "Clara, this isn't a game." Charlie's voice rose. "You can't fight it." The shadows surged once more, howling in fury. Clara felt the darkness squeeze around her, suffocating, angry. "Run!" she screamed, and they dashed toward the door, even as the shadows clawed at their heels. As Clara pushed through the threshold, light flooded the space. But before they could fully escape, the shadows reached for them, grasping onto their legs. "Clara!" Charlie shouted, gripping her arm. "Push through!" "Hold on!" she yelled back, fighting against the pull of the darkness. The shadows roared in anger, and Clara knew they had to make the final choice. With one last desperate look around, Clara made her decision. "We choose to remember," she screamed. Then the shadows swallowed them whole. Blackness enveloped their screams as the walls of the room seemed to close in tight. Clara could only hope that this time they would find the truth. Clara's vision swam in a haze of blackness, the air thick and unyielding. She felt Charlie's grip tighten around her wrist, both of them pulled deeper into an abyss that threatened to swallow them whole. "Clara!" he shouted, panic rising in his voice. "Where are we?" A flicker of light pierced the darkness. They stumbled forward, unsure of what lay ahead. The moment they pushed through, they found themselves back in that same disorienting room. The walls shaped themselves like shadows they recognized, shifting and twisting. "Are we still in the attic?" Charlie looked around, eyes wide. "I can't tell," Clara breathed, her heart racing. "But something's different." Suddenly, a cold wind whipped through the space, sending a chill across their skin. "Did you feel that?" Charlie asked, shivering. "Yeah." Clara glanced around. "Like someone's watching us." The shadow figure flickered at the edge of their vision. It hovered near the doorway, moving like smoke. "Stay back!" Clara shouted, instinctively stepping in front of Charlie. "Don't!" Charlie pulled her back. "We have to find another way." "No!" Clara shook her head. "I won't let it take you." The figure twisted, its form becoming sharper. "You must choose," it hissed. "And remembering comes with a cost." "No more choices," Clara screamed, desperation clawing at her throat. "Stop this." "Clara," Charlie looked at her, eyes filled with urgency. "We can't let this decide for us." The shadows curled closer, wrapping around their legs, pulling them in. Clara struggled against the weight, breath hitching in her throat as the grasp tightened. "No," she yelled. "Don't let it take us." Just as the shadows clawed higher, they rushed toward the doorway. "Run!" Charlie shouted, but just as they crossed into the light, the door slammed shut behind them, trapping them inside. "Why won't it let us leave?" Clara gasped, feeling her heart hammer. Suddenly, they were not alone. The figure emerged from the darkness again, but this time it shifted, becoming clearer and more defined. "Mom!" Clara whispered, eyes widening. A familiar face appeared in the shadows, but her expression was cold, hard. "You have returned to face what you fear most." "Ah, why are you like this?" Charlie shouted. "What have you done?" Their mother's eyes glimmered, unreadable. "It is not what I have done, but what I haven't done that binds you here." "Stop!" Clara stepped forward, confusion swirling. "I need answers. Where's Dad? Your father made his choice long before you knew him." She pointed, her voice harsh. "And now you must decide the legacy you want to carry." Legacy. Clara felt the darkness press in. "What are you talking about?" A loud rumble echoed through the room, shaking the very walls. Shadows writhed, screeching in protest. "Clara, we have to go!" Charlie shouted, panic rising in his voice. "No!" Clara held her ground, staring at the figure. "You need to tell us the truth." "Very well," their mother said, her voice a low growl. "Your father's choice was not just to save the family name." "Then what was it?" Charlie demanded, eyes blazing. A silence fell thick in the air before their mother spoke again. "He sacrificed his children for the power this name holds." "What?" Clara stepped back, the truth slamming into her like a freight train. "He wouldn't. He couldn't." "But he did," the figure replied, a flicker of satisfaction in her tone. "To preserve the Winscott legacy." "No!" Clara shook her head vehemently. "He wouldn't hurt us." "Tie it to the past, Clara. The past defines us more than you want to admit." "Why didn't you tell us?" Charlie's voice cracked. "Why keep it a secret?" "Secrets protect. They shelter you from the truth until you're ready." She pointed at Clara. "But you have to decide if you want to explore that truth." "I want to know," Clara shouted, her own anger rising. "You can't keep this from us." The shadows grew thicker, ready to swallow them whole. "Clara," Charlie shook her arm, "we can't let this overwhelm us. Too late. You need to remember what you're made of." "You'll find the truth," their mother said sharply. "Stop telling us what to do," Charlie yelled. "You're not our savior." Clara felt the tension swell in her chest, the weight of her mother's betrayal coiling around her. "Why now? Why bring us here?" "Because," their mother's voice softened, broke slightly, "the truth will set you free, but it could destroy everything you believe in." "Mom!" Clara pressed, tears welling up. "This isn't right. You need to choose to be with us, not against us." Suddenly a deafening crack rang out, and the walls began to shake violently. The tableau before them shifted as the shadows spilled forth in a soaring rush, threatening to consume everything. "Clara, run!" Charlie yelled, yanking at her arm. "No!" She shook free, eyes locked on their mother's face. "I can't lose you too!" But with a sudden surge, the walls collapsed, revealing a bright light. It hit Clara, pushing her back as Charlie fell to the ground beside her. "Clara!" he shouted, his voice cutting through the chaos. But in that blinding light, the figure changed once more. It became a man, an unfamiliar face, who looked just like their mother but with darker features. He grinned, eyes glittering with malice. "Hello, Clara. I've been waiting to meet you at last." "Who are you?" Her voice trembled, raw shock coursing through her. "I'm your father, although I'm far from what you imagine," he said, his voice smooth like silk. "I misled your mother. I did what was necessary to protect our bloodline, but it seems the time has come for you to learn the truth." "Truth?" Clara stammered. "You mean this is all part of another lie?" "Not a lie, sweet Clara. A legacy," he replied, darkness spreading from him like vines curling around the room. "It takes strength to end the cycle." "Get away!" Charlie pushed Clara behind him. "Don't you dare come any closer." "Ah, Charlie, you don't understand yet," the figure said, smirking. "Your time would be better spent accepting the truth of who you are, who you can be." Suddenly, shadows surged and the light flickered. "Choose wisely," the father hissed, stretching out a hand loaded with promises and threats. "The legacy you inherit will define you." Before Clara could react, the room shook again, casting them into chaos. Then all went dark. In the suffocating silence, Clara blinked rapidly. What just happened? But then, nothing. Just darkness. It felt colder than before. "Clara," Charlie whispered, fear in his voice. "What do we do now?" And somewhere in that darkness, the sinister laughter returned. Clara blinked in the darkness. "Charlie," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Yeah, I'm here." Charlie's voice was close, but the shadows swallowed them both. "What just happened?" I don't know." Clara's heart raced. "That felt real. Too real." The darkness was thick. They groped for the edges of something solid, something familiar. "We can't be stuck here," Charlie said, panic creeping into his tone. "We have to find another way out." "Right. Let's keep moving." Clara grabbed hold of Charlie's arm. "If we stay here, I know it'll only get worse." They moved cautiously, feet shuffling across a damp surface. Cold seeped into their bones. "Do you feel that?" Clara asked, shivering. "Yeah, it's like something watching us." Charlie's voice quivered. "We have to stay focused." Clara took a deep breath. "We'll find a way out, together." Suddenly the darkness shifted. Clara stopped, tension washing over her. "What's happening?" "Things are moving." Charlie's eyes darted around. "I don't like this." "No kidding," Clara shot back. "Just hold on to me." A low growl echoed, vibrating in the stillness. "Clara, Charlie's words cut off as a bright light exploded, illuminating a room they didn't recognize. "Whoa!" Clara gasped. They stood in what appeared to be a basement, walls lined with shelves filled with dusty old boxes. The faint scent of decay lingered in the air. "Where are we?" Charlie looked around, gripping Clara's hand tightly. "Not sure." Clara stepped forward cautiously. "But we're not alone." A figure stood at the far end of the room. "Who are you?" Charlie yelled. "Don't be alarmed." The figure lifted its hands. "I'm not here to harm you." "Then what do you want?" Clara shouted, eyes narrowed. "I've come to help." The figure stepped closer. It was a woman, hair wild, eyes wide with urgency. "You both need to leave this place now." "Why?" Clara asked, suspicion prickling her skin. "Because everything you faced, your father, the truth, it's feeding off your fear. You have to move fast." "What do you know?" Charlie pressed, trembling with unease. "I know your family. I know the choices they made." "What?" Clara's stomach twisted. "Just tell us." "Your father's power comes with a price." The woman's voice dropped low. "He's not just a man. He made a deal." A deafening crash interrupted her. The floor shook wildly, sending a jolt through both siblings. "Clara!" Charlie yelled, pulling her back. "Get away!" The ceiling cracked open, a beam of light slicing through the gutters of shadows. Dust and debris rained down. "Run!" Clara shouted. They bolted toward the exit, but before they could reach it, the wall collapsed, blocking their path. "No!" Charlie shouted, backing away in fear. The woman's eyes widened with terror. "You need to face the truth now. You can't run forever." In that moment, the shadows twisted violently. Something broke free from within, a dark mass swirling like a storm. "I'll help!" the woman screamed, reaching out for the shadows. But then, with a swift motion, she turned on them, her demeanor shifting. "You were never meant to survive this, you know. The truth is, you don't get to choose." "What?" Clara's voice broke as she stumbled back, shock coursing through her. The woman's face morphed into something grotesque. "Your father made sure of it. You'll be just like him, doomed to fade into darkness." "Clara, let's go." Charlie pulled on her arm again. "No, we're standing our ground," Clara yelled, determination igniting inside her. The dark mass surged forward, engulfing them. Clara and Charlie screamed as they were swept away, trapped in a whirlwind of shadows, terror rooting them in place. And then they fell into the darkness once more. Clara plunged into the darkness, panic wrapping around her heart. She felt Charlie beside her, his grip tight as they tumbled through the shadows. "Where are we?" His voice cracked, fear escalating. "I don't know," Clara shouted back, her breath quickening. "Just keep moving." They landed hard on a cold stone floor. Clara winced but scrambled to her feet. "Charlie, I'm here," he said, looking around, eyes wide. "What happened?" The room was dim and bare. Dust hung in the air. Clara could barely see anything. "This place feels different." "Different how?" Like something's watching us." Suddenly, a chilling wind howled through the empty space. Clara shivered. "Did you feel that?" "Yeah." Charlie glanced at her, his voice shaky. "What do we do?" "I don't know." Clara glanced around, her heart racing. "We have to find a way out." "Look," Charlie pointed. A flicker of light shone in a far corner. "Let's check it out." They moved toward the light, cautious and tense. The closer they got, the clearer it became. A doorway, slightly ajar, glowing with an otherworldly radiance. "Should we?" Clara hesitated, looking back at Charlie. "We have to," he nodded, determination sparking in his eyes. They reached the door and peeked inside. A figure loomed in the light. It was unmistakably their mother, but twisted, her features distorted with rage. "Mom!" Clara called, stepping inside. "Clara!" She stretched her hands out, but her grip was unsteady, fingers clawing at the air. "You came back! What have you done?" Charlie shouted, stepping forward. "What's happened to you?" "Listen to me." Their mother's voice was nearly a growl. "You don't understand what's at stake. It's too late." "Late for what?" Clara demanded. "You need to tell us." The shadows crept closer, thrumming with energy. Clara felt a tightening in her chest. "What's going on?" "I'm protecting you," their mother yelled, her eyes wild, shoulders trembling. "You must choose." "I'm tired of choices," Clara shouted back. "You've made all the wrong ones. Just let me explain." Suddenly the room shook violently. The ground rumbled and cracks appeared in the walls. "What's happening?" Charlie cried out, fear now etched on his face. "Don't let it take you!" Their mother screamed, but something dark surged forth, pulling her back. "Mom!" Clara shouted, reaching out. "No!" Then, without warning, a shadow lunged from the darkness and wrapped itself around Clara's mother, yanking her into the void. "Stop!" Clara screamed. "Mom! Clara!" Charlie pulled her back just in time as the shadow swirled and roared. "We need to go now." "No, we can't leave her. Forget her. We need to save ourselves." He yanked her toward the doorway, desperation etched on his face. Clara jerked free, heart hammering. "I won't leave her behind." The echoes of their mother's cries filled the air. "You're part of this too, you have to remember." "Shut up." Charlie flipped around, panic tipping into anger. "We just lost her." "Charlie, look," Clara pointed. In the chaos, a piece of parchment had fluttered to the ground, glinting faintly in the dark light. "What?" he asked, eyes darting back. "Maybe it's a clue." Clara knelt quickly, snatching it up. "What does it say?" Charlie asked, urgency coloring his voice. But before Clara could read it, the shadows rumbled again, dark energy gathering. They spun around, and a dark mass emerged, forcing itself into a humanoid form. "Father," Clara whispered, recognizing the figure, panic igniting. "Yes." "It's time for you to face the truth." He smiled, a twisted grin spreading across his lips. "Stay away from us," Charlie shouted, his tone laced with fear. "Join us, Clara. We are bound by blood," he said, extending his hand toward them. "What did you learn?" Clara held the parchment tight against her chest, heart racing. "Get away from me. Join the family, or you will lose everything you love." "Clara!" Charlie pulled her back, rage glistening in his eyes. "No, no, we can't!" Clara screamed, panic building as they were engulfed in darkness again. The shadows rushed at them, voices screaming all around, and then, just as Clara lost hold of reality, the mass coiled in on itself. The moment shattered, revealing light and chaos. All at once, Clara collapsed. All went silent. "Clara!" Charlie's voice echoed, but this time it was distant. Tension coiled tight around her, and she gasped awake. But something was wrong. As Clara opened her eyes, she saw her mother standing before her, eyes full of sadness. "Clara!" "Mom!" She blinked, confusion clouding her mind. "Are you—" "Stay back!" Charlie yelled, shielding Clara. But the figure transformed completely. It was not their mother but a stranger, a creature of darkness. Clara's heart sank as she felt the truth soak in. "They took her," that thing hissed. "Now your choice matters." Clara stumbled back, breathless. "You're not my mother," she shouted, her voice echoing in the dark chamber. The figure's face twisted into a sneer, revealing the dark truth she had feared. The creature's voice dripped with malice. Your father's choice shaped this family. You can either embrace it or be consumed by it. No! Charlie stepped forward, his jaw set with determination. We won't fall for your lies. Clara's heart raced as she felt the air thickening around them. What do you want from us? Power, Clara. Power that comes with a price. The figure laughed, the sound chilling to the bone. You have a legacy to uphold. No! Clara felt a surge of courage. We're not like you. We won't let the past control us. The shadows began to ripple, dark figures flickering around them. Clara took a deep breath, casting a quick glance at Charlie. Together? Always, he replied, steadying himself next to her. With newfound resolve, Clara held the parchment tightly. We choose to break the cycle. We choose our own path. Light surged from the parchment, illuminating the room, banishing the shadows, and revealing the true layout of their surroundings. Clara could see the remnants of the family's past, fragments of memories entwined with sorrow, entrapment, and regret. Stop! The figure screamed, but the light grew brighter, forcing it back. Clara stepped forward, no longer afraid. You can't keep us hostage in our family's past. We will remember, but we will not be bound. Power radiated from her words, cascading through the chamber. The shadowy figure shrieked, its form flickering as it fought against the light. With one final shout, Clara and Charlie thrust their hands forward. The light surged, engulfing the figure entirely, and for a brief moment, silence blanketed them. Then the shadows shattered, and the oppressive weight lifted. The room transformed, warm sunlight spilling in through broken windows. Clara blinked against the brightness. Is it over? Charlie whispered, awe in his eyes. I think so. Clara studied the room, their mother's presence fading into memory, replaced by the warmth of daylight. But what do we do now? Charlie asked, uncertainty tracing his features. Clara soaked in the brightness, feeling lighter, freer. Now, we begin again. We build our way forward, not backward. They turned toward the doorway, hearts united in purpose. But just as they reached the threshold, a sudden wind swirled through, rustling the parchment in Clara's hand. Words she had not seen before emerged, unraveling like vines. Clara, what does it say? Charlie leaned in closer, curiosity peaking. The air crackled with the heady scent of magic. Clara's eyes widened. It's a path to find the truth about Dad and Mom. We're not done yet. And we have to follow it, Charlie urged, determination returning. Outside, the horizon brimmed with new possibilities, yet unseen dangers lurked ahead. They exchanged a look, a mix of hope and fear. Both knew they had already faced so much, but now understood their journey was just beginning. And somewhere, beneath the surface of their lives, a legacy waited, eager to force them into its grasp once more. So what are Clara and Charlie truly destined for? And who or what will they encounter next? Don't let the mystery fade. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next chapter of this extraordinary story. Press the like button now to feed the algorithm. Your reactions and theories are vital. Comment below. And you know what? Share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to dive into this adventure. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait another second.